I'm live now, so if it's good, you can hear me clearly. So, hold on. I'm not going to make this live stream very long. So, I want you to let me know in the live chat if you can hear me clearly. That's what I want you to know. All right. The live stream is direct, so that's good. So the only thing now is, if you're here, let me know in the live chat that you're here, please. Thank you very much. I'm going to wait for a minute or two. Let me know in the live chat if you can hear me clearly, please. I'll wait. As I always wait in the beginning of my live stream to see who's coming in. So let me know. This live stream will be about the politics behind appearances. The reason I'm having this subject on a live stream is because believers often lack proper knowledge when it comes to politics, especially believers lack the knowledge that politics depend on appearances. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this live stream. So if you're here, please let me know in the live chat. I'll wait. I'll wait for 2 more minutes, and then or 3 more minutes, and then I'll begin teaching. So if you're arriving in now, let me know in the live chat that you're here, please. Hold on. Well, 2 more minutes. Now begin. For those that entering later, you can watch your live stream back, so that's not a problem. Okay. Not yet, still 1 minute to go. Again, it's not going to be a very long live stream. I hope you got the notifications of this live stream. Sometimes people don't get any notification. Let me check this. Okay. 10 seconds, I'll just begin. Good. about politics and appearances. There's one thing that many believers just fail to realize, and that is that in this world, it's all about your reputation. Your reputation is far more important than your actual situation. Oh, let me repeat that. Some of you need to hear this. Your reputation is far more important than your actual situation in this world. For a very simple reason. Your actual situation is not what motivates people. It's how people perceive you that motivates them. For example, let's say there's an airport, okay? And this actually happened, a few examples, a few years back already. Let's say a guy arrives at an airport in his short jeans and just a small shirt. He has the sunglasses. How will he be perceived? As a tourist, as a hippie. And based on how he is perceived, that's how he's treated. Let's say that guy now approaches some employees because he wants to know the direction. How many of those employees may misinterpret him as a boss or as an employer or someone of high social status? Most wouldn't. Why? Because his style is not associated with what they consider high society in the world. Let's say that same man goes back to the airport, but he comes in a three-piece suit and with a fake Rolex. So now he arrives and he approaches the employees, and the employees of that airport were just discussing some cargo. And one employee says, "Sir, you're finally here. This way, please." Because they were waiting for one of the superiors to come to give them instructions. So when that tourist appeared in that two-piece suit, the employees thought, "Whoa, here he is. This way, sir." And the tourist was thinking, "What? I just want to know where the bathroom is." But they brought him to an office where there was confidential information of passengers. And indeed, this man wanted to go to the bathroom, but he also had the flight that was delayed. So he now played the game with them and told them that he wanted the flight towards, let's say, Mexico to be finished by now, to be ready. And the police told him, "Yes, sir, we'll make sure it happens." And the guy walks away. And indeed, very quickly, the flight towards Mexico was ready. Now, this was just a passenger, just a tourist, but he was dressed in a three-piece suit. And that triggered a program in the employees into thinking that he was a manager or one of their bosses. So when they were busy with work and they were waiting for a supervisor to come by and he appeared, they were tricked into thinking he was a supervisor. So based on this perception, they led him directly to the office. If this passenger would have arrived in his short jeans, they would have just thought, "Sir, what do you want? Oh, you want to go to the bathroom? There it is. Or you want to know when your flight to Mexico will depart? There's the screen over there." He would have received a very different treatment. Now, for those who are coming in later in this live stream, I'm going to repeat what this live stream is about. In this live stream, I'm explaining the politics behind appearances. And I already said it earlier in this live stream, before I gave this parable. Your real life situation is not what motivates people. It's what people think about your situation that motivates them. So your reputation is far more important in this world than your actual situation. Reputation is valued more than situations. I hope you understand this. For those who are new here, who just came in, when you're here, let me know in the live chat you're here, and feel free to interact with me in this live chat, in the live chat, because when I make live streams, it's to be interactive with you, no matter how few you are here. So let me know that you're here, and this live stream is about the politics of appearances. Good. Arrow Crusher, thank you for being here. So Arrow Crusher, did you understand what I've just explained about how your reputation is more relevant in this world than your actual situation? And I don't know if you was able to listen to the example I just gave of this passenger that was perceived as a manager and therefore he got a better treatment. Let me know. And for others that are listening, I'm also talking to you. Interact with me in the live chat, please. I'll wait for a minute before I continue. Okay. Do you understand what I've just explained? Because I want you to capture this first before I continue. Let me know. I'll wait for 2 minutes. And if I don't get an answer in 2 minutes, I'll continue, nevertheless. I'll wait for 1 more minute. And after 1 minute, I'll continue. Yes, exactly. Arrow Crusher. Most people's perception is a reality, but most people's perceptions are false because they lack truth. So this is what it is. Your perception is how you view the facts around you. Okay? Your impression is how you relate to what you perceive. So let me say that again. Your perception is how you receive the facts around you. That's your perception. And how you relate to what you have received is your impression. So you have perception and impression. And worldly people want to be impressed. That's the number one thing about worldly people. They want to be impressed. So with worldlings, the only way to motivate them is by impressing them. And how do you impress worldly people? You show them what they want to see. You show them what they want to see. And when they see what they want to see, they now feel gratified. They feel validated. And because they're validated, they will approve what they perceive. And once they've approved what they've perceived, they are impressed. If you show them something they don't want to see, now they'll resist what they receive of the facts and they'll be offended instead of impressed. So with worldlings, they're either impressed or they are offended. And offense doesn't have to automatically mean that they begin to cry and begin to shout, scream, and have emotional tantrums and begin to resist. Offense can also be disappointment. Why? Because worldlings all carry thinking patterns they're holding on to. And whatever their senses pick up of reality is filtered through those expectations. So when worldlings see something, they may perceive something completely different than what's there. For example, if you would show an apple, just an apple, you put it over there on a wide table. Let's say you have a wide table, wide, clean table. It's an apple right in the center of the table. Now, someone may walk in and they see the apple and they are offended. Why? Because they have this obsession with hygiene. There's nothing wrong with hygiene. Some people are so obsessed, they have to clean everything. They have to clean their hands every 5 seconds. You have such people who are mentally ill like that. And they see an apple on a clean table, but they perceive a violation. Why? Because they see a clean table and an apple right on the table, not even in a scale. If the apple was on a clean scale, they would feel gratified because their obsession of cleanliness has been gratified. But now they see an apple on just a table. If the table is clean, they perceive an offense. Or let's say now you have a basket with apples that's just there in a park, in public, and you have a small child that runs towards the basket and picks it up. Let's say now that that basket was left there by the grandfather of that child for the grandchildren just pick it up freely. Let's say you have this information and you see the small kid coming and pick an apple. You would feel gratified thinking, oh, it's just a kid pick up an apple left by the grandfather. But what if you don't have this information and just see a kid go out of the blue coming towards a basket? You have no idea who the child is. You have no idea who placed the basket. Most people, if they see this, they will perceive an offense. They will even feel hurt when they see this. And they will become annoyed thinking, don't those parents teach your children not to touch someone else's stuff? So here's what it is. You have a basket over there with apples, fresh apples, in a public park. So there are many trees and grass, all of that. It's a sunny day, and you have a child out of the blue coming and picking an apple. That's the only thing that's happening. But human beings are conditioned into this thing called private property. So when they see something, they automatically will think, whose is it? Who has a claim on it? So if they don't see who has a claim on it, they don't get close or else someone may become upset. And when someone else is upset because their claims are violated, people may become violent. So since children, they've been conditioned to always ask, whose is it? So they have this conditioning. So now they see a child just picking an apple out of the blue and they become upset. What caused them to become upset? Was it the child that picked that apple, or was it their own interpretation of what they saw? What was it that tricked pain in those people? Let me know in the live chat. I'll give you 1.5 minutes before I continue. What caused those people to be hurt emotionally or to be frustrated mentally? Let me wait 1 more minute. Okay, 10 seconds. What caused those people to be offended or to feel hurt? Just like Errol Crusher saying, it's their own incorrect perception that triggered that unhappy emotion. Because what if there were employees who just got out of work and they all got baskets of fruits from their bosses? But one of the employees thought, you know what, I'm not going to carry this whole basket with fruit at home. I'll already have a lot of fruit. If I'm ready, let me just leave it behind. Whoever wants to take it can take it. In that case, someone just left behind for others. But even if someone had a claim on those apples, the apples were there in public, everyone could take them. If someone had a claim on them because they want to use the apples to bake a cake or to eat later, they should have taken them with them. They shouldn't have left them just open like that. And how are you going to blame a child? A child doesn't know can't know everything. We assume as adults can know everything. But in this case, they have an incorrect perception because holding on to their conditioning. Don't touch someone else's stuff. And they don't even ask themselves what justifies possession. Have you ever asked yourself what makes something yours? What makes something yours is the violence that defends it. That's how it goes in the world. If you are walking outside and someone wants to take your shirt out of your body, you can just shield your torso and you can bounce them away. You can, with your own ability, physical ability, you can stop them from taking your shirt because the shirt is on your body. Or if you have a shirt that you just bought and it's in your bag, you can shield them from taking your bag. But if you have a plot of land, like a big farm, like 2 or 3 acres, how are you, with that mortal weak body of yours, are going to prevent all those? Are you going to cut anyone from entering that plot of land without your permission? Let's say there are 500 people and all walking towards your plot of land. Are you able to push all of them from the plot of land? No. So what happens now? Now you need to convince people that it's your plot of land. You can build a physical fence with a sign, no trespassing. That's just a physical construction you can build. But even then, people have the natural ability to just walk on the plot of land anyway. But then, if you have a gun, you can say, this is my property, and you can harm people, and because people don't want to be harmed, they stay away. Why are they staying away? Because they don't want to be harmed. Not because you are able to control that plot of land. You can't. You can only scare people in not validating, you can only scare people into validating your claim on the plot of land. And if you want to secure your claim, you can go to the government or some local gang, and now you have a gang that will kidnap people, in legal terms called arrest, when they so-called trespass your claim. What happens when you end up in a hospital and you're on life support because you have an accident? Can that claim on that plot of land help you? No. And what if you die over there? What if you die in that hospital? What's going to happen to that claim? You're not around anymore. So your claim cannot be validated, so someone else comes and they have their claim now. So this whole idea of possession, private property, privacy, and all of that, those are all conditionings people have been conditioned into. They don't exist in natural reality. But because people hold on to their conditioning they receive from society as real, whatever comes through their senses, they filter through those conditionings. So what's important to them is that their attachment to their conditioning is validated. That's the only thing they're concerned. They don't really see, they interpret things. If they would just simply see, then they would observe. But worldlings in general don't want to observe, because observe means you need to acknowledge that you're holding on. And then you need to justify what you're holding on to. And as a reference point, you have society, so other people. So it's other people who validate the same thinking patterns and validate that what you're holding on to is real. But apart from a reference towards other people who are in the same pattern, whatever you're holding on to is not real. And worldlings who want to go there. So worldlings, they interpret things based on their conditioning. And if something is in line with their conditioning, they like it. If it's not in line with their conditioning, they are offended, so they are upset. So now they don't like it. Or if it's too invasive into crushing their illusions, they hate it. They turn on it. Respect is just a claim of you wanting control over someone else. And you expect the individual to give in. Now, if you would state like that, I want control over others to feel relieved, people would think, go to a mental institution, you need help. But if you tell them, I'm older than you, or I'm your father, I'm your mother, that's not how you treat someone who's older. If you come with violent accusation, this triggers a survival mode into people. People don't want any danger, so people tend to give in. And if this pattern is repeated over and over again, now you have a social pattern that people are clinging on to. And now because they cannot justify this pattern, they don't want anyone else to question it. And that's how things as respect are established. So respect is nothing real. It's just a claim of ownership over other people. So it's actually wanting to be God and expecting others to validate your imagined godhood. And when someone refuses to do that, now you're forced to reflect on your own expectations, and that will hurt, that will be painful, because you realize you're holding on to thin air. So in daily life, when people are not validated, they tend to lash out and tend to justify them lashing out because you violated an unwritten rule of the community. So by violating you in lashing out, whether it's verbally or physically or financially, they teach you respect. They teach you to validate people's violent claims. And because you don't want to be violated, you give in to other people's violent claims. And later, when you have some leverage over others, you do the same just to justify you giving in. Because if you break the pattern, saying, I'm not going to do the same with other people, then you'll be admitting that what you've been submitting to was bad. That means all the relationships you've built based on this thing called respect was also bad. And people don't want to face this, so they justify to themselves whatever it was they submitted to by doing it to someone else. That's why we have households where parents physically abuse the children, and later those same children who were hurt by their own parents do the same to their own children. You know why? Because they've tolerated the BS of their parents, but also because the community enabled the parents. So for them later to face that, not only was it their parents who were out of their mind, but the whole community, that means that all the relationships, all the friendships, maybe even their sexual partner, they end up marrying. All those relationships may be based on denial. So for them to face all of this is too shocking. So it's easier to dump on their own children than for them to face, you know what, I was violated and the people around me were bad for enabling this. So they just dump their own children and say, well, I had to learn respect also. Or in other words, what they're actually saying is, I was violated too. So who are you that you can't be violated? I survived, so you will survive also. You see how dumb the thinking is? So, again, respect is non-existent. And in politics, it's all about respecting, so giving, submitting to the violence, to the violent claims of people. That's what politics is. But in order for those violent claims to appear noble, Because if the violent claims would be just bluntly violent, nobody would accept it, not even evil people. If someone would come to you and with a bat in their hand and say, you are going to work hard in my garden now because I'm lazy, I don't want to do any physical work, you're going to work hard now to make sure this house is clean. And if you don't do that, I have a right to beat you and kill you. If someone just come and say it like that, anyone would say, what? You want to beat me to death with that bat in your hand because you don't want to do any work in daily life? Other people also think, who's this guy? Or who's this woman thinking they can do that? What if someone wears a suit with medals on it? He's a general, or he's perceived as someone of high value. And this individual of high value is considered someone that can give you some value. Now, commoners want to participate in the perceived value that an individual has to offer. And now when that individual comes with violent claims just to exploit others, people tend to believe in the perceived value that the individual has to offer. So because they're so distracted by the perceived value that they associate with that individual, they don't realize, wait a minute, this individual is just exploiting us. So if they all submit to whatever claim that clown has, if one of their own children asks them, Mom, Dad, why are we all working very hard for the general and general's family? Why don't they have to work just like we do? They have to sleep like we do too. They have to go to the toilet just like we do. They have to breathe air like we do too. What makes them so important that we have to be drained all the time? And the child tells Mom, Dad, you guys don't get enough sleep. You guys have to take pills in order to continue this. What? If that happens, the parents now need to realize, hold on a minute. Why are we doing this indeed? And now, because the satanic agreement is challenged, now people are forced to deal with things they want to avoid. So what will likely happen is they will tell the child, shut up. Who are you to ask questions? You just little, you only talk when we allow you to. Show some respect. That's how they do it. And a lot of adults, when they're older and they're able to say no, often they just get along because of saying no against society is to cause offense. And if you cause offense, commoners will take it out on you. So, in politics, it's all about giving an impression that you have something valuable to offer. And as I explained before, worldlings, they receive data from their senses, they fill the data with how they've been conditioned, and if the data after filtering validates their claims, they're gratified. So now they embrace something. If it doesn't match it, they discard it. That's worldly people. Dualistic, black and white thinking. That's how worldly people are. So what politicians do, as well as pagan businessmen, is they provide solutions. They provide so-called solutions to the frustrations in daily life. And that becomes the perceived value that commoners ascribe to them. And it's because of this perceived value that commoners, like a herd of swine, follow whatever those politicians or big businessmen are saying. They don't look at what those pagan businessmen politicians do. They check what they're singing. And the politicians, the pagan businessmen, realize that for worldlings, there must be a perceived value that they see with you. That's why they wear three-piece suits. That's why they wear Rolexes. That's why they use all the pagan symbology. That's why, for example, I'm not sure if this television series still exists, but you had this TV series called MTV Cribs, where celebrities would show off their villas they've purchased, show their cars, all of that. By the way, that show is fake, but most people believed it's real. So you would see those celebrities with a very big mansion, 5 cars, their own cinema, their extended kitchen, with people working for them, or some of those R&B artists or rappers or hip hoppers would show those half-naked women walking around. They would show you all those gadgets. Why? Because all of this imagery will give the impression that they're of high value with a lot to offer. And all those gadgets, that big house, those 5 cars, or all that money they have on the table, or all those so-called hot women walking around, some of them are trannies, but that's another secret, that will be the evidence that your perception of them is real. Because if someone claims to be relevant, but you don't see any evidence of the relevancy, you will discard them. So for worldlings, you come with gadgets to trick the gratification side of them. And once this has happened, worldlings are established in what you've conditioned them into. So by doing this, you can hypnotize the masses, and they're not even aware they're being hypnotized. Now, you can hypnotize someone and they're not aware of it. That can happen. But with worldlings, most of the time, they themselves give you the materials that you can use to hypnotize them. And that's what often happens. And once worldlings are hypnotized by believing in your perceived value, they now will cling onto this perceived value. Follow me now. And once they cling on that perceived value, 2 things can happen. Either they emulate that perceived value by wanting to be just like you, that's how you get fans. And when they realize, okay, they can't achieve that perceived value you have, they will turn from fans into haters, wanting to tear you down. That's how it goes. When they have a perceived value of yours that they've been conditioned into, now they want that value in their own lives. That's why they are a fan. Because they think by being associated with you, but that perceived value will be transferred onto them. That's why you have people that become fanatic fans of some celebrities. They go to all their concerts, they purchase all their music, they even go to all the movies they play in. They have, or if it's abroad, it can be someone that may be a fan of Apple. They buy each iPhone that comes out every year. They have a laptop of Apple. They have everything of Apple. Others have it with Android. So that's how it goes. The perceived value with the corporation or with the celebrity, that's what they want. So they invest in reflecting that in their own life. That's how it goes in the world. That's how you get fans. That's how politicians gain a whole following. However, this type of following is quite dangerous. And I want you to listen very good to what I'm saying, believers. That type of following is quite dangerous. Let me before I explain why do you think such a following is dangerous? Let me know in the live chat. Just let me know. I'm going to wait for 2 minutes. Let me say 3 minutes, I'll get an answer from you. You know the answer, just let me know in the live chat. Yes. Hold on, the system. Oh, Who said it? Harold James, thank you for mentioning that song, Stan. I'm going internet within a minute. I'm going to wait till I get all the responses. Then I'll go into that song, Stan, from Eminem. Okay, just 40 seconds. Okay. All right. That type of following is quite dangerous because their interest is not really in you. It's in that perceived value that they associate with you. So you are just the symbol of that perceived value that he has. So you are the embodiment of what they're clinging after. The question was why the type of following I've explained earlier based on worldly attachment is dangerous. So if you're just an embodiment of the inner frustration that you want to escape, because that's really what it is, they have inner frustration that you want to escape, and they now perceive, based on this frustration, a value you have, and now because they perceive this value as true, you become the embodiment of their escape. So they want relief from the inner frustration, and you become the embodiment of it. If that's the following you have, sooner or later, demons will use those people to suck you dry, to drain all the life out of you. And not only that, that same crowd that praises you because they see you as an escape from their own inner frustrations, the moment it becomes clear that this escape will not happen, you'll be under psychic violence. A lot of it. That is why celebrities do humiliation rituals. I really want to explain this in a separate video, but I can explain it right now because this fits the context. A humiliation ritual, you can write this down. A humiliation ritual is a pagan ritual in which the celebrity or politician grants the masses a symbolic permission to lynch them. Let me repeat that. A humiliation ritual is a ritual in which it's a pagan ritual in which a celebrity or a politician gives symbolic consent to people lynching him or her. Now ask yourself, why would you do such a thing? For the very simple reason. Worldlings just want relief. They want to escape. If they perceive you as someone that reflects one of the values that will provide an escape to them, you're welcome. If not, they take offense. So you will always have people that will take offense at your influence. You have them. So those people will take offense at your influence. They want some outlet. And if everything is going well with you, this is going to backfire on them because now they need to explain to themselves why they don't want you around. And they can't explain that. So then they will blame that on you too. And before you know it, those people are going to look for others around them to attack, just to be at ease. They have internal turmoil because they reject your existence, but because they can't justify them rejecting your existence, they don't have the power to do that because you're not God, because they can't justify this. Now they're also upset with this, and because you're not around for them to violate, someone around them will take the load. Whether it's their wife or their husband or one of their children or employees, someone will get hurt because of internal turmoil. This is how worldlings are. So you can have, for example, let's say you had this, let me use Elvis Presley for example, just an example for now. Elvis Presley was a singer, he was promoted. And of course, there were people thinking, who's this Elvis thinking he is? Why? Because they did not consent to Elvis' influence. Worldlings want control, so everything has to happen on their terms, on their consent. They want control. And because Elvis appeared out of nowhere, they could not control that. And it's reality that Elvis now has influence, and nobody asked for reality. Reality is just there. You have to deal with it. If you go outside now and it's snowing, you can't say, I never asked for snow. So you're not going to put on a coat. Now you can do that, but then you'll get sick and it'll be on you. With reality, you don't ask for reality. Reality is there, you have to deal with it. So if someone in reality has an influence, you have to find a way to deal with it in a constructive way. Worldlings would want this. They want to be the one deciding who exists, which is quite delusional, but that's how they think. So let's say now that you have people that couldn't stand Elvis Presley because they did not consent his influence. The more they resisted Elvis Presley, the more miserable they became, because Elvis Presley became dominant and successful. So those people now, that turmoil, that bitterness began to boil, and suddenly they would explode on someone. Where they explode on children by sexually molesting them or beating them or whatever. Yes, such things happen. Or they would get into the car and drive into a crowd. When worldlings mentally decompose, they explode. You don't want this to happen, so you tell the celebrity, look, Elvis, you want this deal to be famous, all of that? We want you to humiliate yourself publicly in the media once. And Elvis thinking, oh, why would I do that? They tell Elvis, you want the deal or not, you have to do this. We all did it. The president did it, the governor did it, all of us in politics, and all of us that are celebrities, we all did it. Or we will come with a fake court case against you, as if you did something wrong, just to humiliate you. Go to the humiliation ritual. It was a consequence. Because Elvis Presley humiliated himself or was humiliated by the media, now those that are bitter because they did not consent to Elvis Presley's existence now feel at ease. They get a relief. Finally, we have some reason to be against Elvis Presley, so now we don't have to look at ourselves and see the type of creeps we are. Now we have a reason to have something against Elvis Presley. So now all that negativity flows out of them and they don't explode on someone else. That's how public safety is guaranteed. That's how it goes with worldlings. And by doing this, as a celebrity or a politician, it's less likely that someone would come and assassinate you when they have the chance, because A, they had their symbolic permission to kill you, to lynch you. And this symbolic permission caused them to lynch you mentally and symbolically, so now they don't have much urge to it physically. But what if you have a celebrity or a politician or anyone with public influence, and they're completely Christ-like, everything goes well with them all the time, they're operating in Russians completely, so there's no humiliation ritual. And every form of humiliation people want to put on them backfire. It's going to happen. Now people don't feel like they are God, they don't feel in control. So because they don't feel in control, they become upset with that individual having that influence. And because they can't violate that individual, sooner or later, they will develop the homicidal urge to kill someone just to be relieved. That's how you get lynchings that are going on. So that's why you have humiliation rituals. So many of those celebrities that are in court cases because of sexual harassment or whatever, or because they, they left their wife, they were cheating or whatever, often such things are humiliation rituals just to give ease to the masses. So this happens all over the world. There was a time, there was this, I don't know if he was a politician, it was in 2002, or I believe early 2003. He was given an interview on live television, and the presenter of that show was a Freemason also. He did all this hand signs. He was saying, man, you're talking nonsense, your marriage broke because you did not pay good attention to your own marriage, to make a fool of the man he was interviewing. And the man that sat there at the table just sat there and kept smiling. As I was in my teenage years back then, 2003, I was like 12, 11, 12 years old. And I was looking at that thinking, why is this guy, this grown man, allowing this presenter to talk down on him like that? And he just sits there and keeps on smiling. Doesn't this man know that millions of people in the Netherlands are watching this? Does he know that when he walks in the street that people may look down on him because he was humiliated like this on television? And why doesn't anyone in the crew say to the presenter, hold on, you can't talk to a man like that? It was humiliation ritual. This is how it goes in the world. Anytime your influence increases and your impact increases, you will get violence against you. And one way to ease the violence against you is by self-humiliation rituals. Because by doing self-humiliation rituals, people can symbolically lynch you. And now, because they can symbolically lynch you, they feel like they're the ones that decide, they feel like they're the ones in control of you, so they leave you alone. The moment they realize that they really don't have any control, you're finished. To understand now that in politics, it's all about the reputation. Your reputation is the perception that people hold on to. Your perception is how you receive the data, how it comes into you through your filter. Impression is how you relate to what has come in. So you have the perception, is what comes in, and impression, how they relate to it. Reputation is the impression people get of you invested on the long term. That's reputation. And it's easier to break a reputation than to build it. And the best way to maintain a reputation is by giving people the symbolic permission to lynch you. That's it. That's why, if you've noticed, some of those celebrities or politicians, when they suddenly have to appear before court for sexual misconduct or for theft or whatever, many of them are just calm. Some are even smiling in front of the camera. Sometimes even the judges in the courthouses are smiling because that court case is fake. It's a humiliation ritual to ease the masses. And I want you believers to recognize these things. Before I continue, do you understand what I've explained till now? Let me know in the live chat. And that's why, listen what I'm saying here. This is why Christ, when he came to the earth for the first time as a human being, when Christ incarnated as a human being, he chose to be born in a manger. He chose to be born in a place where there was stench of dung of other animals. That's what you have in a manger. You have other animals around. Animals are pooing and peeing, so you have this stench over there. So it's not a lush place. Christ chose that to be born. Why? Because if Christ would have been born in a palace, they would associate the palace with political power, with institutionalized violence. And then, when Christ is growing up, people will want to associate with Christ, but only because they expect to be able to use him to violate others. So if Christ was born in a palace, that would be the disadvantage. People would perceive him as a tool to violate others. So Christ avoided that. Christ caused his step-parents to be in wealth by triggering those kings from the east to transfer all that money, all those goods onto them. Joseph had to flee to Egypt with Mary and the and Christ as a little child, and the other children. They settled in Nazareth, which was a ghetto. All of this was to divert negative attention away from Christ while growing up. Because Christ knew if he becomes the target of negative attention, that will also affect the people around him. So Christ knew that eventually he will get negative attention, but while he was still growing as a little baby to a teenager and all of that, he wanted his half siblings, which were really his creations, to be at ease. That's why when Christ was in his 20s at his wedding in Cana, Mary was pushing Christ to perform a miracle. And Christ said, "Woman, this is not my time yet." Christ did it anyway, just for that time. Christ moved away from his parental house to Capernaum, where he worked. He had rented his own place. And later, when he began his ministry, he only gathered men that were also active and willing to endure the resistance. Now you know why Christ decided to come from such humble beginnings in his human body. And now you know why Christ did not, he did not cling onto the luxury that society adored as valuable. There's nothing wrong with luxury. There's nothing wrong with having jewelry, watches, expensive fancy clothes, gadgets, big house. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Nothing. But in this world, you're often only considered if people associate some relief with you. So eventually, if you have all those gadgets, they will follow you, but only to exploit you. So their love for you is not real love, it's narcissistic attachment. And Christ taught us not to look for narcissistic attachment of worldlings, which is called the love of the world in the New Testament. That's what those politicians have and those celebrities, narcissistic attachment. That's why they have to do humiliation rituals, so that they are safe when they're walking down the streets. Now, as a believer, if you get a following, because people become interested in your influence, that's a good thing. But the Holy Spirit will always do it in such a way that all the narcissistic people will fall off as soon as possible. That's why it's said in the New Testament that we have to humble ourselves before the Lord, and he will humble us under the mighty hand of God, and he will raise us up in due time. God does not want you to submit unto his mighty hand so they can oppress you and show you your place, and show you who's the boss. No. God wants you to submit unto him in humility, so that when his power elevates you, it will elevate you in such a way that nobody can accuse you. So God wants you to be up there. God wants you to operate in wealth, abundance, and all of that. Yes, that's God's will. But God does not want you to be stuck at narcissistic attachments like the politicians and celebrities are. That's why when God weakens you, embrace it. Because that's all the world is. False evidence appearing real. Evidence is material to show why some statement or why some outcome is true. Proof is when something has been established as true. So evidence and proof is not the same. Not all evidence proves something. Okay? Some evidence even disproves something. But proof is established. Now, fear is really false evidence appearing real. Fear is really you ascribing more value to that other individual or to that situation than the individual situation deserves. That's all it is. Fear is also When you ascribe an outcome to God that does not belong to him. When you ascribe violence to God, that's fear, because now you are expecting to be violated by the Most High if you do what he wants. But that's how narcissists treated you, violating you when you don't have the way. But now you ascribe this to God. So now there is false evidence that appears real. So you don't relate properly to your Creator. And God wants this out of you. So no fear comes from God whatsoever. And what I've just said, that God does not want you to be stuck with narcissistic attachment. Now you know. Now you know why many of those celebrities want to go into hiding after a while. Because they realize very quickly that the worship they receive is really a trap. Politicians the same. And I've explained before, celebrities are scapegoats. You have two types of scapegoats in society. You have the sad scapegoat, which is the Joker. Or, yes, the Joker. And the Joker is the one that is smashed upon, like that. But then, the opposite of the Joker is the celebrity. The celebrity is also a victim, just like the Joker is. But celebrity is praised because people associate this perceived value with them. So they get a better treatment, and people want them to be better off. Because the celebrity is a type of victim that's not allowed to fail. The celebrity is a type of victim that's not allowed to be human. The celebrity is a victim that's not allowed to be vulnerable. The celebrity is the victim who's worse off than the Joker, because with the Joker it's obvious that he or she is trampled upon and violated. The celebrity is just as much violated, but nobody will believe it because they have the big houses, they have the cars, they have the prostitutes, they have the cash. So really, the celebrity is worse off than the Joker. Yet, we think the celebrity and the Joker are two complete different categories. They're the same category. That's why in the Batman series, you have Batman and the Joker. Batman is also a scapegoat. He is the one that cleans up the mess of society the society doesn't want to face. And because of this, he has to hide himself. Because if he openly reveals himself as Bruce Wayne, cleaning up the mess of society, he will be revealing on society, you guys are not responsible, you guys don't take care of your stuff. And then society will turn on him to lynch him. So that's why he needs to hide himself behind that suit, call himself Batman. And now, because society gets relief, because you have this stranger with extra powers that does the dirty job for them, they now praise that figure with extra powers. So now they don't have to face themselves. That's why Batman is popular. So Batman is really a scapegoat. But he's a type of celebrity because he does the dirty job for people. The Joker is also a scapegoat, but the Joker is realistic of his position. Batman is illusional. Batman thinks, okay, I have to be practical by hiding my identity, but eventually people love this false image I have. So Batman is illusional, while the Joker is realistic. The Joker is showing him, Batman, all the things you're doing for these people, cleaning up their mess, and haven't you noticed they are continuing in that mess, despite how much you do for them? So you're being drained by these people. When you don't come and clean up their mess, they will blame you. But if you do clean up their mess, they'll expect you to keep cleaning it forever. And if you end up dying or perishing while cleaning up their mess, they would say, hey, nobody asked him. So actually, they do ask you, they do demand you to do it, but they don't want to demand it formally, because if they formally would demand it from you, then you need to be responsible for the demand of you. They demand it of you without saying that they're demanding it, but you just hint it to you. so that when things go wrong, they can always flee the situation. And that's what happens in daily life also, with those unwritten rules. Those unwritten rules that a lot of people have, why don't you just write them down? If in an area you're not allowed to smoke, people can justify it. Why? Because people can get sick of it. So no smoking area. People can justify it. But if people come with an expectation that you have allowed someone else to control you, if they would write it down, allow your parents to violate you so they can feel in control. If they would write that down, you would think, what? Allow grown people to violate me, a child, so that they can feel at ease? You would ask them, what about this? And they will not be able to explain it. So they hint this to you by using words as respect and politeness and all of that. So society demands something from you that they shouldn't demand of you, but they put violence behind the demand. So they hint onto you, this is what we want. If you don't give in, we do something to you. And when you do give in, they're happy for you. But when that thing that you're doing, because they pressure you, hurts you, hey, we didn't ask it. That's how society is. And the Joker is a character that feels onto Batman. Batman, you are being scammed by these people. They will turn on you as much as they're turning on me. The only reason they hate me because I reveal onto them the type of violent creeps they really are. That's why they all hate me. They are attached to you because you hide their dirt. So that's the parable of Batman and the Joker. Superman is more realistic. Superman knows where people are. That's why Superman, not only does he hide himself, but Superman does not hold on to that. Let me say that Superman has Superman, contrary to Batman, does not hold on to what he's doing, but he's doing it out of necessity for the greater good. Batman is doing it out of attachment. And that's how you have a lot of people in the world. They do things out of attachment. And this blinds them. Before I continue, do you understand all I've explained now? Let me know in the live chat. So, never again, believers, put in your head that the politician or celebrity that they've made it. They have not. They give through demonic rituals the appearance as if they've made it, and it's this appearance as if they've made it that grants them the ease in daily life. And it's because of this perceived value that the masses associate with them that the masses tolerate them having all that ease. If you would not have to go to work every day and you could just travel around drinking expensive wine all the time, making photos on Instagram, people would think, why does Rashid have so much time on his hands? Why doesn't he work from 9 to 5? Who does he think he is having a good time on Instagram, show it all around? We will show them. Well, who does think he doesn't have our permission to do that? We are affected by it. So now they're losing their mind. But if some guy who went through some humiliation ritual does it, now people feel like they are in control of that individual's destiny. So because they get this gratification and say they are in control, now they are okay with this individual not having to work and this individual being at ease. That's how it goes in the world. Or if you're not a celebrity, you have to work from 9 to 5 or maybe 40, 50, or 60 hours a week. And right before you're about to collapse, you go on a holiday, they will say you earned your rest. That's how society works. You have to earn your rest. You have to earn it. You're not allowed to have rest as God wanted you to do. No, because they want to be God. They want control. And if you have rest without their permission, they'll make sure you get frightened. They either begin to stalk you on social media, or they will say that rest doesn't get you out of that rest. You're not allowed to rest unless they allow you to rest. So if you worked 50 years, 5 decades from 9 to 5, and now you're in your 70s and falling apart, and now you get money for free, now they'll say, okay, you've earned it. You've paid your dues. we permit you to be at ease for the rest of the short amount of years you have. But if you're 29 and your business went well, and now you don't have to work from 9 to 5 and you're just enjoying life and investing in the community, be aware, they'll come after you. It can find you, come after your children. Some will even fantasize of molesting your children just to get to you. Hey, the men will go crazy because you don't have their permission. That's how they are. So politics is all about reputation. It's all about appearances that are established. So never, believer, look up to politicians and celebrities. Never. They are in bondage. They have a cake. And to get that cake, they have to be fake. Because the demons only give their best covers to those that are fake. Common, regular pagans out there, demons get along with them because demons need those regular pagans in order to be relevant in the earth realm. So demons depend on those pagans. But the top pagans who want the best demons have to offer, they have to be fake. So they have a cake because they're fake. But after this cake, there will be the lake of fire. So that's what they have. They have a cake because they're fake. You don't even have a cake. So you can't have your cake in it because you don't even have one. They have a cake because they're fake. And the only reason anyone would make it in this world is if they're fake too. That's how it goes. So, believers, value what you have in Christ. And I want believers to be motivated and ambitious to expand in the earth now. Again, there's nothing wrong with luxury. There's nothing wrong with having a very big house. There's nothing wrong with having beautiful dresses as a woman or all that good-looking jewelry. There's nothing wrong with any of those things. But worldlings think if you have those things, you're free. It's not the truth. But worldlings perceive this value with you when they see you associate with those things. And that's what celebrities do. Most celebrities don't even have all those cars. They don't even have all those houses. They don't even have any of that. They don't. It's just a show so that you think that you're nothing. As long as you think you're nothing, you begin to crave the compensation of society. And so that's where demons launch, the demons can drain you. That's what politicians and celebrities are for. To cause you to think you're nothing, so you will be happy with whatever compensation they offer you. That's what it's all about. That's why this whole modeling world, I have those skinny white women, those things are there to cause bodily dysphoria into females. Why? So that all the men who are involved in those women will be drained. And once the men are drained, demons have easy access to the men. Demons become relevant as if they're gods. This was all about devil worship. Me? I can walk on the streets here in Korea and nobody lays any hands on me. Nobody begins to jump on me of anger. Nothing of that. Even in the West, I could do that. A celebrity can't do that. If they're outside of that paranormal bubble, they're finished. What do you prefer? To have the cover of the Holy Spirit that shuts down violence, or to have the cake that means the advanced premium relief that Satan offers, but you're stuck in a cycle? What do you prefer? So, believers, I want you to be ambitious. I want you to be happy with life now. Forget about going to heaven. You will never go to heaven. When Christ returns, those that possibly will be resurrected, the believers will be in the air, in the clouds from moment until Christ renews the earth. Then we'll be on the earth forever with Christ. Heaven is not our home, the earth is. So I want you to be prosperous in the here and now on the earth. There's nothing wrong with you having luxurious items, with being prosperous. There's nothing wrong with you having money, having houses, having ambition, all of that. Just realize you're here to glorify the Heavenly Father. So we as believers, we can and we should be on the top when it comes to financial prosperity, knowing who we're serving. Because those pagan businessmen and those celebrities, those politicians, they're keeping a con alive. Most of them don't even have any money. The money is controlled by the Vatican. So you think Bill Gates will be this big billionaire, while it's the Vatican owning all the assets of Microsoft. He's just an actor playing his role. He may get like $400,000, $500,000 a month, maybe, that he also has to spend most of the time on useless stuff. But all those billions belong to the Vatican. But you think, oh, Bill Gates is a big billionaire. It's a scam, people. It's a hoax. That's why some of those celebrities, when they come to you, a believer, they're honored to meet you. Why? Because they know you're real. They know they're fake. They know that most of those people out there only praise them for the image that they have. That's why, for example, you have this Portuguese football player, an American English soccer player, is a professional, Cristiano Ronaldo. In English, you say Cristiano Ronaldo, like Spanish, but in Portuguese, Cristiano Ronaldo. And one thing I noticed about this guy is that in many of his appearances, he doesn't look happy. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute. If you're this professional football player of Portugal, you're praised by many women because you're so sexually attractive and all of that. You getting a woman is very easy because you have the money, you have the houses, you have all of that. You have more than 40 million euros at your disposal. I would think, hold on a minute. Most people out here need to watch out how much you spend during the week, because at the end of the month, they do not have enough left. And you have more than 40 million euros at your disposal, and you have this good and sexy reputation, yet you're not happy. What's going on, Cristiano? O que pasa, Cristiano? I would ask him in Portuguese, what's going on? I know what's going on. He knows it's fake. But he knows that you guys think it's real. So he knows he's scamming you. And he has to go to sleep every day knowing he's scamming millions of people, tricking them into misery so that Satan can drag them to the lake of fire. That's what he's doing. That's why sometimes even those politicians, celebrities, don't want to stand in front of the camera. Why? Because sometimes it backfires on them what they're doing. It wouldn't surprise me if there are even politicians and celebrities watching my YouTube channel and learning from it. Some of them getting deliverance. I hope they do. It wouldn't surprise me if there are CIA agents, or maybe Mark Zuckerberg himself. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if some of those so-called elite people are even watching my channel, paying attention to what I'm doing. Because let me tell you one thing, believers. When you are walking in the real, those operating in the fake will notice you very quickly. Now, in sports, it's a bit different. Because in sports, there needs to be some basic talent that you have, or else it wouldn't work. With singing, you can fake it. But playing football, there must be some skill there, or else you're not going to convince people. So yes, there is skill. There's all of that. But the sports industry, which emerged in the 20th century in Nazi Germany as a means to keep the masses docile. So most people don't tell you, but that's where this international sports industry originated in Nazi Germany. After Nazi Germany fell, they extended it worldwide via Switzerland. which is already controlled by the Roman Catholic Church, just like Nazi Germany was. This international sports industry serves the same purpose as Hollywood. It's to distract you. About Romans chapter 13, verse 1 till 5, we are the higher powers. We as believers are anointed by the Most High, and we supervise and manage the earth on his behalf. So anyone who goes against the anointing of believers, including worldly governments, they are in trouble. And we as believers, we put up with worldly governments for the sake of worldlings who would go out of hand if there were no worldly governments. But not that we have to praise, worship, nor endorse all worldly governments. We as believers, we are above them, and we spiritually can shut them down if they go too far, just like the prophets did in ancient times. Just like the apostles also did. Let's see. Hold on. About 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 16 to 18, God himself, when he comes back, there will be noise, and he himself will come down with a loud shout of joy, declaring the dead to rise up. And there will be believers alive when Christ returns. They'll be changed, their bodies will be changed immediately into immortal. And those who pass away will be resurrected in new immortal bodies. They'll be placed in the air until Christ renews the earth, and then they'll be on the earth again with Christ forever. That's what it means. Okay, that's all for now. I don't want to make this live stream too long. Believers, keep on walking by faith, and please do not worship those celebrities nor those politicians. I don't care if it's Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or I don't care if it's some Christian celebrity like Joel Osteen or Creflo O'Donnell or whatever. Listen, stop worshiping those people. You shouldn't even worship them to begin with, because they can't handle worship. Only God can. And only God is worthy to be worshipped. But here's the thing. What they have is fake. Well, what you have is real. I want to see believers operating in the real. And you're going to see that in the near future, politicians, celebrities will come to believers for help. It will be believers with the financial and earthly power that worldlings will need desperately soon. Right now, many believers are getting along with oppression. Soon it will be the world have to come to believers, and they won't have any choice. I'm not saying that they will behave well, but hey, God will deal with them if they go wrong. That's it for now, believers. Keep on agreeing with Christ and be at peace.